Welcome, friends and neighbours. This is Faisal Hassan, your Member Provincial Parliament for York Southwestern, joining you again. Bring your coffee and tea and let's talk about the important issues of the week. And before I start, those of you who've just joined, you're joining Faisal Hassan NDP, my Facebook page, and also Instagram and YouTube and Twitter. Welcome. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge at this time the land that we now know as York Southwestern is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuits, and Métis. Thank you and welcome. You're joining me again another Saturday. And my name is Faisal Hassan. I'm your Member Provincial Parliament. Welcome, folks who are joined Facebook, and I'll try to incorporate your comments and questions as well. And welcome also those who are joining also Instagram as well. This week, folks, we celebrated Earth Day, and happy Earth Day. Let us work together towards a more sustainable future. Our actions must firmly rooted in values of equity, affordability, reconciliation, and unity. And if you haven't read or checked out our plan for the Green New Democratic Deal, please do so and read. You can check it at ontariondp.ca, and it focuses on climate, it focuses jobs, and also justice. It's very important that we tackled our environment. And you can also read there. If you have any questions, you can also send me as well. Welcome, Jarity, and welcome everyone. And Jarity says, good afternoon, Faisal. Good afternoon, Jarity. Welcome. And Nasra, welcome. And Jarity quickly says, I'm angry at Doug Ford and Justin Trudeau for not acting quicker on closing the borders and getting the vaccines into people, as my aunt passed away on Tuesday due to COVID. I'm so sorry, Jarity, that you have lost a family member. My sincere condolences to you and the rest of your family. You're right. It's a mess. Things has been really bad, and also we knew that also there was also a vaccine pop-up, mobile pop-up scheduled in our community. Postal codes M6M has also been cancelled, and I was being informed this morning that 35 people lined up waiting for their vaccines. I'm disappointed to announce that the clinic was which was scheduled also at the Charles E. Webster School this weekend, today and tomorrow, has been postponed, and there's possibility, not confirmed yet, it might be May 1st. We will wait from them, from Women's College Hospital, to provide us, and they're also community partners hosting the event in the future, to let us know at the Jane Hub as well that are working with them. And we will be sure to provide an update on the rescheduled date once we learn more. Tentatively, there might be possibility of May 1st. That has not been officially confirmed, and we want also transparency, folks, and true and accurate information. We know that our community is desert for vaccine. Perhaps we don't have a permanent vaccine location, and we don't also have a permanent mobile location. We only have now West Park Hospital, which is booking appointments, folks over the age of 18 and above. And that's not only our community, it's more than many communities, including as far as Brampton, as far as other communities. And that is also, our hospital there at West Park Healthcare Center is not only focusing our community, it's focusing many communities, because it is a specialized hospital which is doing a fantastic job. But we need a permanent vaccine facility. As you know, early on, I have provided that information that we need. I provided them suggested also locations where we could have that and more pop-ups. And this is unacceptable. Definitely, I will be holding this government accountable as the House resumes this Monday as well. Well, thank you. With regards to the border, Jarity, I think it's a federal issue where you need to contact the federal MP to address any concerns regarding the border and airplanes and port of entry. Okay, the federal government deals with that. Okay, well, thank you, Jarity. Saeed, welcome, and Frank, welcome. Says how hope you are well, brother. Thank you, brother. I'm well, and welcome, Paul, and folks. Those of members of our community who are fasting. Happy Ramadan is almost getting close an end. Only 18 days left. So happy Ramadan Mubarak, folks. And also, Frank says there are now over 30 cases in Ontario of the double mutated B1.167 COVID variant. The federal government didn't do enough to protect the Canadian people. I agree with you. The whole thing has been a mess. It started with the vaccine procurement, blames from the Premier and the federal government. This continues. But I think we need a better system. It's time to work together to make sure our community, hotspots and high-risk community, gets the vaccines we need. We need also a permanent facility, vaccine location, and more pop-ups for our community. So also we need also to fix them. I don't know who is making challenges because they're saying is a shortage of vaccines, but who is responsible for vaccines? The Premier is saying is the federal government. And when they are making also appointments, for example, in this weekend, they told our community we have a pop-up clinic on postal codes M6M at the Charles E. Webster School. And then the next day, they informed us there is no vaccine, there's a shortage of it, or there is a delay getting them in. Well, and at the same time, our neighboring to the north, they had 7 consecutive days of having pop-ups. I think this is not right. So you should plan, distribute equitably vaccines to communities like ours that are hard hit and that are hotspots and high-risk community. So this is completely lack of transparency, and we need this to be gotten the bottom of it. Who's responsible that this mess have to be gotten to be found exactly? We know that this is the responsibility of the Minister of Health and the Premier, and definitely I'm going Monday to the legislature to ask them more direct questions to provide answers for our community. And where is our vaccines in this community that has been termed as hotspots and high risk? And we have also more frontline workers, folks. And to this day, the Premier and the Ford Conservatives have not delivered paid sick days. We need it because it saves lives. Thank you. Thank you, Frank. And I think anything to do with outside of the provincial jurisdiction, it has to be the federal government. You can write to the federal MP about it with regards to any issues with Board of Entry and regards to also the federal jurisdiction. And that is also something I would encourage you to engage with them. Welcome, Nasra. Welcome, Shukri. Jarity says, yes, my boys get their first shot on Thursday. Well, congratulations, Jarity. I know you have been fighting to get appointments. I'm glad that there are some success stories that we can share today that Jarity sons have gotten their vaccines. Congratulations on that. And here we have also Frank saying most vaccines makers have their own distribution network. As a matter of public fact, only 25 of the first seen pool is for designated hotspots. I argue that 50% is more appropriate. Well, that's great. And welcome, Segal. Welcome, Nasra. Yes, actually, the sign table, Frank, have also shares your view that have recommended 50% of vaccines should be going to the hotspots and high-risk communities like ours. And why don't we get them? We want action, we want transparency, we want accurate information, and we need accountability in this regard. So communities like ours should be getting vaccines. To this day, we do not have a permanent vaccine facility in York Southwestern, and there's no pop-up. Today I was told there are appointments that has been booked by West Park Healthcare Center, but these are folks from other communities that are coming with our community. You know, I've been informed people have went there at 82 Buttonwood, and also a community Western Community Place Hub, and folks they're driving Mercedes-Benz and BMWs, high expensive cars that the folks of York Southwestern don't drive. And this is because the West Park Healthcare Center books appointments not on our community as well, but other communities, because West Park Healthcare Center is such a specialized hospital that is open across the province. And that's also okay. We want other communities also to get it. But if we are being termed as hotspot and high-risk community, we want priority. Our postal codes being specifically given a first priority, booked those appointments that are coming next week. I guess that will be something maybe West Park Hospital, West Park Healthcare Center can advocate on our behalf so that our postal codes can get first hand and first opportunity. Well, thank you. Welcome, Nasser. Welcome, Segal. Welcome, Ayan. Welcome, Ayan. Welcome, Indaat. Welcome, Ivan. Welcome. Hello, Ivan. Good morning. Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. And folks, also I have also a good news with the Toronto Community Housing Corporation also continues its efforts at vaccinating buildings in their community with a clinic planned residence for 20, 30, 40 full staff on April 27 and also April 28 from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. No registrations required. The location will be at the Community Recreational Center at 50 full staff. It's called also a full staff community center. Please be sure to bring your OHIP card. If you don't have one, it's not a requirement. Just bring a document with your ID, with your address, showing that you live at 20, 30 full staff. And make sure to come early because they are starting at 10 a.m. on the 27th of, that is Tuesday and Wednesday, 27th of April, the 28th, and it will be resuming to get your shots at 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. both days. So take advantage, folks, who live those buildings, the 30 full staff and 20, 30, and 40 full staff. Also, there are also Toronto Community Housing is also hosting a clinic also at 5 Bellevue as well on the April 29. And that is also the time is a bit different. So if you live at 5 Bellevue, it will be 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And residents are asked for specifically to call Stephen George 647-880-0131 to register. So make sure you're registered if you live 5 Bellevue. If you live full staff, 20, 30, 40, you don't require for registration. You just show up on April 27th and the 28th. You can do that. And then make sure on the 29th at the which is a Thursday, you need to be registered. and it will be open from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And you can also reach at Stephen George and number 647-880-0131 if you live 5 Bellevue. And you can also email him Stephen dot George at torontohousing.ca. Please remember also to bring your OHIP there. And also, if you don't have one, it's not required. Just bring a document showing your address at 5 Bellevue as well. Well, welcome, folks. And Jarity says here, I am asking everyone who comes to the community place hub to remember that there is parking on the street only and not in the driveway, as a driveway is via a route. So yes, if you have already booked and you don't live in the community, you're showing up to go there at the community place hub or the Western Community Place Hub, please park on the streets and close by, because the driveway to the front of the community, Western Community Hub is a fire hazard. So be very careful that your car is not being towed. So you look for parking on the streets, okay? And that way also is a tip from our sister Charity. Thank you, Charity, for that. That was very good. Shauki Abdurrahman, hi, welcome. And Frank says, hi, Faisal. Would other TCHC residents from outside 20, 30, 40 Forester be able to get vaccine as well? Yes, Frank. Yes, that's also a very, yes, they're getting this week. If you live full staff 20, 30, 40 full staff, you don't require to call to make an appointment. But if you live 5 Bellevue, yes, you will require to call Stephen George. But if you live, you simply go to the Full Staff Community Center from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Tuesday, April 27, and Wednesday, April 28. And there you'll be able to show up. If you have OHIP card, bring it. If you don't have it, it's not a requirement. Just bring a document showing the address, proof of address that you live 20, 30, 40 full staff. And there you'll be able to get your shots. Make sure you take advantage of that. Okay, folks? And that's good. Yes, Frank, thanks for that. That's, yes, it's happening this week. Tuesday, Wednesday, April 27th and April 28th. It's happening. Ivan says, Faisal, I'm on the list up here. Hope I get my shot soon. Hope you do get it because it's a mess, Ivan. We have been termed at hotspots and still there is no permanent vaccine facility here. We had a scheduled pop-up on the weekend, the 24th and the 25th at the Charles Webster School, but the next day it has been cancelled. They're saying due to shortage of vaccines. And we have seen the Premier blaming the federal government, Justin Trudeau and his team, not providing enough vaccines. But now we also know that other communities north of us have been getting 7 consecutive days. They have been getting pop-ups for vaccines. So if other communities are getting continuously and our community have been told there is no vaccine shortage, that is unacceptable. And I think that is not right. Get us vaccines and give us, as the science table have suggested, 50% of the vaccines should be going communities like ours. And we wanted this to be implemented immediately. Also, they have told that that location at the Charles Webster has been also postponed. They're thinking of May 1st. It has not been officially confirmed, but as soon as they confirm it, I will be able to share with you that information. But we don't want again for them to confirm it and then the next day say it has been postponed. Please make sure next time, if you are making an announcement, secure those vaccines for this community, you know, our postal codes, and make sure that then don't dash our hopes again and again, telling us there is vaccine happening pop-up at the Charles Webster, and then the community, we help the community being informed about it. The city councillor informs them, I inform them, and everybody, activist of the community, informs them. The community organizations informs them, and then and the next day they have been told it's not happening, it has been postponed. We want a better system, and do not schedule a pop-up for our community if you don't have vaccines, because you do have them, because it has been happening north of here 7 consecutive days. People were having pop-ups, but we don't have we don't have a permanent vaccine facility. We know north of us, they do have a Humber River Hospital. They have also other hospitals. That is York Center, Humber River Hospital, even Etobicoke North, even Etobicoke Center. They do have more access to other hospitals, but communities like ours, we don't. So it should be a priority, and this discriminatory practice must come to an end. And we need accountability. We want transparency. And definitely, folks, friends and neighbors, this week I'll be going to the legislature to hold this government accountable and to explain to us why other communities north of us have consecutive 7 days having pop-ups, and we have none here. And every scheduled pop-ups has been cancelled except for the TCHC buildings, which we appreciate that, because that's happening now. We have been told on the 27th and the 28th on Falstaff, 20, 30, and 40, and also 5 Bellevue Crescent, but you have to register that by contacting Stephen George from TCHC. Well, thank you. And welcome, Ivan. Hope you will be getting yours soon, my friend. Charity says, you are welcome, as I do not want anyone to get 350 tickets. So folks, if you don't live in the community and you want to come for appointment for vaccine already been booked through Westpark Healthcare Center, when you come to the Western Community Place Hub, make sure you don't get a ticket of $350. Make sure you park it on the streets and where there's also plenty of parkings in the plazas nearby as well. Okay, thanks for the warning, Charity. Nivalda, welcome. Trasa, welcome. And Trasa says, where can 18 plus M6N get their shot besides Westpark? My son wants to get his. We sat on the site yesterday for Westpark and no luck. And thank you for the question, Trasa. And this is has been said again and again. The entire community, we have been told, the community have been told noon they will be taking another appointment. And as soon as people were lining up, some folks were told to sign up at 11:45. They were on the line, and immediately they were told, wait for 2 hours, wait 3 hours, wait 4 hours, wait for 8 hours, and some of them were told, wait for 12 hours, and within a couple of hours, all the appointments have been booked. And this is not helpful for our community. I think the best solution is maybe the next appointments should be focused to our community and devote that at least 50% of the vaccines for our community. When our community gets 1 week, maybe book for other communities for another week. So that way, then there is some sort of, or distribute percentages every week of each postal code. So that way, our community percentages of M6N are getting, M9N are getting, M6M is getting, M6L is getting, so that we are distributed certain percentages of those postal codes and others. So make sure, like, if you organize a little bit better and schedule that way, then perhaps we'll be able to and also give us more pop-ups for specific postal codes and designate it into different locations. So give us one pop-up for M6M, give us M6L, give us M6N, give us M9N, and so on and so on. That way, then people will have also pop-ups, plus also Westpac Health Care can also be relieved for those who could not go to the pop-ups, then can also make those appointments. This is what we need, Teresa. At the moment, that's the only location we have that is booking folks over 18 and plus. And we don't have any other pop-ups. There was one pop-up scheduled, not M6N, but M6M. That was this weekend. The day they announced, the next day they said it has been cancelled. And because they have cancelled it, they said to us, because delays of getting vaccines and also a shortage of vaccines. But to me, I don't understand that. And I don't understand completely, because communities north of us, north of the highway 401, they have been getting 7 consecutive days for pop-ups. So they have been getting it for vaccines, but in our community has not been getting it. So this is not right. The system is not working for our community. And that's why I'm going next week to Queen's Park to hold this government accountable, to ask us to give us more vaccines, to provide us also a permanent vaccine facility for our community. As you know, also, it is actually a desert vaccine for our community. We see now this morning, people went to the Western Community Place Hub and also 82 Buttonwood, but the majority of the people there are coming from other communities, because also West Park Healthcare Center is a hospital devoted to the entire province, because it is specialized geographical location. So those folks also are also eligible to book those appointments. And that's why many members of our community have been difficult to get in. So I'm going to advocate on our community to this kind of discriminatory practices to end. And we need more equitable distribution of vaccines to communities like ours here in York Southwestern, where we have been termed as hotspots and high-risk community. So we need the Premier and the Minister of Health, Deputy Premier, to answer many questions for us and for our community. Why this is happening? Why a pop-up is scheduled and then the next day is cancelled? Well, other pop-up scheduled are continuing. Do we need to investigate why that has happened? Yes, definitely. We want to know more about it, and definitely we want to ask them directly that question when I go back this week on behalf of our community. Welcome, Nevada. Nevada says, when is the M6M pop-up being rescheduled? Well, Nevada, they're saying not officially, but they are thinking of May 1st, and they said is subject to availability of vaccines. And I think we don't want, again, for them to dash the community hopes, community planning to come. Even this morning, there were 35 people lined up hoping that they're getting vaccines, and they have not been able to get the information early on that it has been cancelled. I want to thank David, who actually went there and informed each and everyone to let them know that that has been cancelled or postponed. I want to thank David because he's really such a great guy, who is also a member of our community, who has take things into his hand and went there to tell his neighbors that this pop-up has been cancelled. So we will see, Nevada, that they might be scheduling May 1st, but I will make sure, I will ask them, make sure before we inform the community, tell us it is happening. Then I will be able to share with you, but they are thinking about May 1st for now, okay? Nevada says, how many vaccines are to be available there? Very good question, Nevada. We have no information. There's no transparency. No one tells us how much they have and how they distribute it to communities. So this is, again, is the failure of the Premier and the government that has not been transparent, telling us how much is coming and how much are they distributing to our community. And this is what we need for them also to let us know if we are lining up, and why don't they even have a better system of bookings where communities like ours, where we are, hotspots are asked to line up for vaccines, rather than making a better system of booking, allowing our community to have a permanent vaccine facility where they could simply book it and come and get their vaccines quickly. Because this is also is unacceptable. I agree with you. It's completely failure, and the responsibility lies with the Ford Conservatives, because they're the ones who are downloading everything to municipalities. They're downloading to localities, and we don't have they're not telling us anything about how much they are distributing and where it's going. And we need a better information and accurate information to tell us, our community, so that I can share with you. And it's not happening, Nivalda. Welcome, Nasra. And Nivalda says, how many daily shots does West Park and the community hub have available? That's again another question we don't know. No one tells us. They do know probably what they have, because they are booking appointments for specific numbers. They do know it, but my office has not been shared that information. So I cannot confirm it, how many people have appointments for today, for tomorrow, until they set up another appointment. So we need that also to be shared with us, more transparency, more accurate information, so that we get the bottom of that, so we know, so they can get more vaccines. And we don't know that either. And why is Hamba Hospital not running clinics for M6M? That's a very good question. And I think also the problem is Hamba River Hospital is focused other jurisdictions. They only focus portions of our community, not the whole part of our community. They only focus north of our community, and they are not designated to take appointments from 18 plus folks. That's another issue. They're still taking appointments 50 and above. They can do that, and that's also now they moved into Downsview. So if you are 18 and plus, that's where the problem is in our community at the moment. Okay, that's why they are not doing it. They have been very helpful, to be honest. They have worked with my office to take some of our senior buildings to get their vaccines, and we thank them for that. But we want more of their work to come and help us specialize more communities here in our community, and we're going to reach out to continue the work we have begun with them again. Okay, thank you. And Nasra, welcome. And Brandon, welcome. Brandon says, where can people 18 plus from M6L get their shots besides West Park and the Community Place Hub? My brother Adam wants to get his vaccine. Me and my mom, we went on the site yesterday for West Park and the Community Place Hub. Me and my mom had no luck. When will the Rustic Maple Leaf Community get pop-up clinic? Very good question, Brandon. And that is exactly M6L, M6M, M6N, M9N has not been getting any pop-ups in our community. And all of our community are termed as hotspot and also high-risk community. At this moment, Brandon, there isn't any. And that's why we want, as the same science table have said, 50% of the vaccines should be going communities like ours, hotspots, and we want them to act immediately, effective today, to give us permanent vaccine facility and more pop-ups. If they could give us 4 or 5 locations where these postal codes can be designated, each of them a location. We already have, if they could also coordinate better. I know that West Park Healthcare Center is not only doing our community, they're doing as far as Brampton to come, folks coming here to get that. It's a mess, and we have none at the moment. And definitely, I'm going to hold this government accountable as I go next week to the legislature to ask them questions, to tell us why this is happening. Why are you announcing a pop-up one day and the next day you are canceling it? That's unacceptable. Even this morning, 35 people line up at the Charles Webster School waiting for their vaccines. And I want to thank again David, who went there to speak each and everyone and told them it has been postponed. And some of you also have reached me out on my Twitter, but it was a little bit late because in the morning I was focusing other things. But finally, I've also sent email. I've sent also my newsletter. And if you want to actually get instant updates, things like that, please sign up my newsletter or follow me on Twitter and also my page and Faisal Hassan NDP. Those of you who are joining, you're joining Faisal Hassan NDP, my Twitter, my YouTube and Instagram, and my page as well, simultaneously at the same time, to come to you, to talk to you every Saturday. Bring your coffee and tea and any beverage you like in the afternoon, and let's talk. Same here, Teresa says, okay. Haikal says, yeah, welcome Haikal. And Navida says, appointments at West Park were gone by 12:20 when I got in. Feels like we are in the Hungry Games here. It's demoralizing. Well, it looks like Nevada, that this government is dividing a neighborhood against neighborhood, riding against riding, community against community, postal code against postal code. This is exactly what they are doing. And if they are going to do better, they should listen to us. And you can't just tell people in York Southwestern, you can book appointments at 18 and plus, and then people come at noon, and then at 20 past noon, and then every appointment is closed. We want transparency. How many appointments have been booked? We need to know. And if you are also telling us a specific postal code of our community to have pop-ups, like this weekend supposed to be M6M, and then the next day it is postponed or cancelled, then we want to know why that is the case. They're telling us is shortage of vaccines and delays of coming to them. If that is the case, how come other communities north of us and west of us and south of us and also east of us are having pop-ups and we don't have them? And that doesn't make sense to me. And some of them having 7 consecutive days for pop-ups. And our community, the only pop-up which could have helped a majority of the folks at M6M has been cancelled. And people cannot even book on the system Westpark Healthcare Center was given. And I don't blame them. I know folks, Mary Ann, they're doing a fantastic job at Westpark Healthcare Center. They're a great hospital. We are happy that they are located here in Buttonwood, but the government, the Premier and Minister of Health should be able to tell us more information why this is happening and to provide us more vaccines so that our community could have a permanent vaccine facility and more pop-ups so that we get at least what the science table said, that York Southwestern and hotspots communities like ours deserve to get vaccines. People are dying here, and we need to get help, and we need it now. And we want also an equitable distribution of vaccines. This is unacceptable. And I'm also, as you're also outraged, I'm also outraged and angry about this. And hopefully we will have answers for you when I go back on the legislature on Monday to ask questions to the Premier and also the Deputy Premier, the Minister of Health, about this issue. Welcome Yasin, and welcome Paul, welcome Nevada. And Ivan says, you're breaking up Faisal. Okay, so can you hear me now? You can hear me? Okay, let me know if you can hear me, okay? Okay, if you can hear me, that's fine. Okay, good. So welcome Liban, welcome Ayan, welcome Christine, welcome Jerry Grassi, welcome, and welcome Trasa. Says, how are all the pharmacies getting vaccines? And St. Joe's and St. Michael's have run over a week now. Well, I think the pharmacists are getting a different kind of vaccine. They're getting a sent AstraZeneca. So they're different kind of vaccines from the pharmacists, but also pharmacists in our community, they don't even have them. Earlier on, when people were trying to book them, there's also a waiting list there as well. So that's another story. And Christine says, I am in M6N. Just give me a minute. I think I've lost that, but I'm going to go back here. Just give me here. Christine says, I am in M6M. It's completely demoralizing, especially considering the amount of essential workers in our neighborhood. Exactly. And this is basically, it's discrimination against our community, because there is no way that the decision makers will simply allow pop-ups everywhere in the community and permanent vaccine locations, but continuously other communities having them consecutive every day, and they are telling us it has been cancelled. There is no vaccines for our community. Well, this is unacceptable, and we want this to be changed. It's not equitable, and it's unacceptable. Jerry Grossi says, ridiculous. So what are you doing, Faisal? Well, Jerry Grossi, I am fighting and advocating to make sure that this discrimination comes to an end, and that this community next week gets more pop-ups and gets more appointments, and people get the vaccines quickly. As the science table says, that communities like ours should be entitled 50% of the vaccines. So definitely, I'm going back to the legislature next week, starting Monday, to hold this government accountable and ask them why this disparities and inequities and discrimination are targeted our community. You announce one day M6M has a pop-up, and then the next day, then it's cancelled. We know other communities are having pop-ups, and why don't you then equally distribute those resources? At least some of the community gets some of it, you know? So it's not unacceptable. So some people, the decision makers, have to change their mind, and we need to make sure that we be treated equally, since we have been termed as hotspots and high-risk community, that we deserve being given a priority. And if that is the case, then I want this government to tell me steps, A, B, C, D, that they're going to do starting Monday for this community. Anything else is unacceptable, Jerry Grossi, and I'm continuing to fight, and the entire official opposition is also supporting our community, starting with my leader, Andrew Horvat. Andrew also have been talking about this, our community, especially the hotspots that have been neglected, Scarborough in our community as well. And definitely, as your representative, I'm going to advocate, as I always do, and I'll also continue to do so, Jerry Grossi. And thank you for joining me this afternoon as well. Wendy, welcome. And Ivan says, yes, good, you can hear me. And Ahmed Bawa says, does the Auditor General audit such items, such as quantities and how it is distributed? Can the NDB ask Auditor General to look into this? Exactly. I think that's what my leader have already asked, and definitely we want to know the truth. We want to know transparency. We want to know accountability and how it's distributed. We know wealthier communities have been getting this, and this is also the pattern of this government, and we need to change that. And NDB government will change this, but we need right now the Auditor General to look into this. I agree with you completely, and we have already asked them, and we will continue to do so, because we want accountability. And this is not acceptable. Community like ours cannot be treated like this. You tell us we're hotspots, we're a high-risk community, but yet we have no a permanent vaccine facility for our community. And you tell us you have a pop-up and postal code M6M, and people are looking forward to it, they're excited about it, and you dash their hopes. That's unacceptable. And please do not do it again. If you don't want to support us, don't just tell our community, you know, today you have a pop-up and the next day you have postponed. It's unacceptable, and we want also that to be looked into, why that has happened. and we don't want these kind of treatments, because we do know that other communities north of us, east of us, west of us, south of us have been getting pop-ups, and we know that. And still, you're telling us the pop-ups scheduled this morning and yesterday and tomorrow will be postponed. It has been postponed. We have shared with the community, but the next time, if you're going to tell us you're going to schedule it, make sure you have enough quantities to make sure that the community is aware of this, and that we don't want any cancellations or postponements in the future. Please do not schedule them if that's what you are intending to do, because we don't want, again, to dash the hopes of our community. We've already been outraged how things have been going on, and the treatments of this government with our community and similar communities like us with hotspots and high-risk communities. So definitely, we welcome the Auditor General to look into this. And my leader have already asked this. Thank you. And I think I'll take quickly here. Rebecca says from the Instagram, I just want to add, I think Faisal Hassan has been doing a great job advocating for the York Southwestern, who should we be putting pressure on to try to affect change. Could you send a newsletter? Contact him. Definitely, if you have not signed up, Rebecca, sign up my newsletter, and also so that way you could also engage. So thank you for that as well. That was a comment from also Instagram that I've taken just to share with you folks. Again here, also Liban, welcome. Nasra, welcome. Ayan, welcome. Jerry Grossi, welcome. And Jerry Grossi says, are you working with the councillor? Well, I would love to work with the councillor. I want to work with anybody, because this is not, I don't want to politicize this, but the councillor can do more, to be honest with you, because the Toronto Public Health, and in that side, we want our city councillor to advocate. I'm happy to work with her, to make sure that she also fights as I'm fighting for you and for our community, to make sure that every single member of our community gets vaccines if they want to. And we need also that table from the city side, from the city council, someone fighting for us. Since the Francis Nziata is our councillor, I would be happy, Jerry Grossi, to work with her. If she does her job advocating from the city hall, that's all we need for her to do, okay? And I will do my part as your member of provincial parliament from the Ontario legislature to do that. And that's where we have the weakest link, to be honest with you, Jerry Grossi. And there's many decisions that the city is making. I don't blame the city, because they're saying they don't have enough vaccines, but we want also to direct that people who are responsible, and that is the provincial government that has downloaded this. Provincial government has downloaded this to the municipalities, and now they're telling us they don't have enough vaccines. But we want also, how come other city councillors are advocating in their community for more pop-ups, but not our city councillor? We want her to do work, to do her part in that. And I think you can also write to her, Jerry Grossi, and I have no problem working with anyone, elected, representing our community. I have been reaching them out. As soon as I was elected, I have called for a meeting, and I have met a couple of times. And again, I want to continue to work with the issues important to our community, with all levels of government that are representative of our community, because the issue is about our community, and our community deserves a better representations. And as your representative, I've only been the last 13 years, and I've seen the neglect that has went the last 15 years and the last 3 years at the legislature, and we can do better. Absolutely, we can do better, and we deserve better. And that's why I want every single member of our community getting involved, knowing your representatives, what are they doing to represent you? And that is fine. You have to get involved, and that's also another way you can hold them accountable, Jerry Grossi. Thank you. Ahmed says, do you know when there will be a response? Well, I think this government is blocking it, the Auditor General, but we will continue to press on, Ahmed, to make sure that we need to know this mess. This is a mess, and the people of Ontario deserves our Auditor General to go into it and find out exactly how it's been distributed. We know that they haven't based their decisions on science, and they have not been listening to the experts, and we need to know what exactly has been happening there. Brandon, welcome. Brandon says, now that Canada is getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, do you think that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is safe vaccine for the people to get it? I cannot comment on that because I don't want to comment about a vaccine, especially Johnson & Johnson, because I don't know much about it. And I do believe it's you, the members of our community, who's going to decide which vaccines you want to take, okay? And do your research, do your due diligence to make that decision, because it's going into your arms. And I want you to make sure you are educated about that. But I don't have enough information, medical information, an expert in that regard to give you advice on Johnson & Johnson, okay? Well, thank you, Brandon. Jerry Grossi says, who makes the decision where pop-ups are located and who is eligible? Exactly. And this is another question. And my understanding is that the provincial has downloaded to localities across the province, and each localities works with, they make with their partners and with the hospitals and also with their priority issues, and then they distribute according to that. And that is where also we need to know more information about how these decisions are made. When we understand that, then we can figure out why our community is left out and who is making those decisions. And precisely, I do think the responsibility lies with the provincial government and with Doug Ford and his Ford Conservatives, because they are the ones who are responsible making sure that our community gets vaccines. And they have made decisions, and we want to know those decisions, how they are distributing it. And this is also why my leader have asked Auditor General to look into this. We need to know this. And we know that they have not been telling the truth about the decisions they're making with regards to science. And they have not been listening, the experts, they have been making decisions based on political decisions rather than the health of our community. We've also seen last week announcing a police measures and also closing playgrounds and things like that. And it has been asked that this was not also based on the advice of the science table or the experts in this regard. And Umar, welcome, and Paul, welcome, and Fortune, welcome, and Saida, welcome. Ahmed says, how are the BCs trying to block it? Well, I think they have the majority, Ahmed. They have, to this day, I think 73, if I'm not mistaken, 73 members of provincial parliament, and we have only 40, the official opposition, and they're also independents. So they do have, because we have a parliamentary system here, but what we can do is we can pressure my leader and the entire official opposition and myself. We have been holding them accountable. We will continue to do that, but definitely next year, June, there will be an election. An NDP government will put you first and will make sure that everybody benefits, not only a very few or very few well-to-do people in this province. And in the meantime, we want to know exactly how these decisions are made. And you're right, we need to know, and we deserve to know. And it's very important that that we hold them accountable. And rest assured, my leader Andrea Horvath and the entire official opposition, including myself, are holding them accountable. That's why I'm coming every Saturday to you live on my Twitter, my YouTube, and my Instagram and Facebook to speak to you and hear your concerns. And if you haven't signed up my YouTube, please subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and follow me also on Instagram and also on my page so that you get instant. If you also want to get also a newsletter updates, please subscribe too as well. Okay, that way you can get an instant update about what's happening. Okay, and we'll do that as well to update you in that. Ahmed says, isn't the Auditor General independent and can do her own investigation? Well, definitely yes. The auditor can do that, but I think we want the government also to show us how those decisions are made. Yes, absolutely. You know, and why hasn't Hydro lowered their rates to off-peak prices as we are yet again in lockdown? Exactly. You know, Mary, the story of this, you know, the Mike Harris, Ernie Eves, Dalton McGuinty, and Kathleen Wynne privatized our hydro. They have given a revenue that would have given us 1 billion every year to the coffers of the government, to private sectors, to private companies, in order to make a profit. You know, this is the same story that the liberals and the conservatives have been doing it, to sell our assets to the highest bidder, to simply make a profit out of it. And that's why this government, at the beginning of the pandemic, they have done a relief is to lowering it, but we need this to continue. And we need also to make sure that the community can afford hydro and essentials such as affordability things like food and other essential things. But with this privatizing hydro, as we've seen Kathleen Wynne and Dalton McGuinty and Mike Harris and Edney Eves selling it, even Mike Harris selling also the Highway 407, and look at that, what's happening. And you know, foreign companies are profiting it, and the assets which supposed to be belong to the people of Ontario, and now this is their priority. The same thing, liberals and the conservatives, they have done that. So you know the story of hydro, and that's one of the things. But I think we will pressure them to make sure that they lower it as well. Thank you, because we're also in the middle of a pandemic, and that we need to make sure that that is affordable, folks, because people are now at home, and we need to give that a relief as well. It's also the case also auto insurance. A lot of people are not driving their cars. Cars are parked on the driveways, and people have not been given a relief. We want people to get reliefs. Also, the police have also reported the vehicle accidents have decreased drastically, 50%. So that way, also it's indication that no accidents, no one is driving, and still we are paying higher premiums, especially because of our postal codes. We want also relief now as well. And does political party leader not able to ask? We have asked Ahmed, the Auditor General, to look into that. We have done that. So we'll continue to do that, but also we want this government to tell the truth and share those informations to the Auditor General. Yes. Frank says, number one reason why hydro rates won't go down. Exactly. So the liberals and the conservatives have been privatizing our hydro. They have been privatizing many things, such as the Highway 407, and also our long-term care. We've also seen the disaster that has happened. The military has revealed that now privatization, which even the former premier, Mike Harris, sits those boards, you know, and they're making money on the backs of our seniors. There is no money to make money on the backs of our seniors, and NDP government will bring to this to an end, okay? And that will be next year, folks. Organize now, join us, you know, sign up, check also our plan for long-term care, It's already been relieved to my leader, Andrea Horvat. You can check it ontarioNDP.ca. Please read that. If you are having a challenge, just to Google, just put Ontario NDP long-term home care plan. You can also do the same things with a Green New Democratic Deal. You can do that also, our housing plan. These are the 3 items we've already released for you to know exactly an NDP government priorities. And as you're a member of provincial parliament, I'll continue, and tomorrow I'll be heading to Queen's Park to hold this government accountable and make sure that we have more pop-ups and also a permanent vaccine facility here in York Southwestern. Well, thank you, folks. I came to the end of my time, folks. I will thank you, those of you who have been joined through my Instagram. Thank you for joining this afternoon, and also those of you who have joined my YouTube and also Twitter and also Facebook. I thank you very much, friends and neighbors. This is Faisal Hassan. You are a member of provincial parliament, joining once again about to talk another Saturday to bring your coffee and tea and talk. Next time, hopefully, we will join again until next Saturday from 3 to 4. Stay safe, practice safe distancing, wash your hands, and wear your mask. And make sure, and don't forget, if you live a full staff, 27, 28 pop-ups is happening at the 54 staff. And make sure you bring any ID or document that has your address. If you have OHIP card, show up. It opens 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. If you live 20, 30, 40 full staff, and if you live 5 Bellevue, you have to register before you show up there. And you can reach Stephen George from TCHC. Okay, until then, thank you and have a wonderful afternoon and enjoy the rest of your weekend. This is Faisal Hassan, your member provincial parliament. Ciao.